All right, it looks like live should be kicking up here in about 2 seconds.
I see it.
All right,
Live.
we are now live and I'm going to hit record to the cloud. All right, we are going to start with a roll call real quick. Oh, there we go. Council President Shrimp.
Here.
Councilman Brugger.
Here.
Councilman Wolf.
Here.
Councilman Benedetti.
Here.
Councilman McNamara.
Here.
And we are missing Councilman Curl. Okay. So if he comes in, I will let him in. We are going to go straight to MI Homes. Actually, let me see. Okay, yeah, Eric's on here as well. So we're going to go straight to MI. Let them go over kind of where they're at and what they've been doing. And that way we can ask any questions that we have for them here towards the end. But maybe if we could let them just kind of go over where we are in the process and where we're kind of going from here. It looks like... Or Eric, do you have anything to say before you release it to them?
No, that sounds good, Jason. It's good to see you here tonight. And I'll have a map up. It's an older preliminary map, but that way we can I'll kind of take it down while you're talking and show them, to help the council members out and the public, kind of where some of these items are as you kind of go through the list or whatever you want to talk about.
Perfect.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So my name's Jason Francis. I reached out to Mayor Hughes right towards the end of July just to kind of offer to attend one of your council meetings. When we received approval of the Minerva Park project, we had agreed to own and maintain all of the open spaces up and to and through the point where we had closed our last home. And towards the end of July, I think it was projected that we'd be closing our last home sometime around mid-October or maybe towards the end of October. So we were getting close to that point in time. There was also a commitment on our part to provide $25,000 at the same time we provided the deeds for the open space. I believe I put the signed and executed deeds to the open space along with a check for $25,000. Mayor's nodding, so I must have done that. Since that time, Eric Fisher and a couple of folks from our office have walked the site. We were given a punch list and then they walked the site. And I believe most of the items on there have been addressed. There's really just, I think, one or two items that we were not in a position to address. And I'll just comment on those. I think we got the open spaces mostly cleaned up. It's kind of been an ongoing effort with seeding and reseeding, but one of the requests of us was to change out the rails on the cart path bridges. And we had been asked this several times, but we've done this now on several former golf course communities. We've converted these existing golf cart bridges, to pedestrian bridges. And we have not found a good way to try to retrofit, nor quite honestly, the need to retrofit the golf cart bridges, to a different kind of railing system. And I know that request has been put out there, and that's, I think, the only thing we were not able to do. But replacing some cracked concrete, some path repairs, mostly seating repairs, some landscape replacement at one of the entries. I think all of that, touching up the seating around the newest areas, including the basketball court, that sort of stuff's all been completed since the site walk that we had with Eric a couple weeks ago. I did take the opportunity to thank Mayor Hughes, and I take this opportunity again to thank council and Eric, Gene Hollins, Mike Flickinger, former Mayor Eisentraut, even some of the local residents who have just been great to work with and good neighbors. Lisa Craddock was a big part of the success of the community, and want to thank everybody. The project has been a great success for us. We're proud of it, and want to just thank everybody, for their role in the process. I think really that's all I had. I'm just here to answer any questions. We continue to maintain the open spaces, through the end of the mowing season. And unless, there's a problem, our expectations would be that the deeds could be acted upon and accepted towards the end of the maintenance season. And then the village would begin maintaining them next spring.
Since Jason, we had a list of 13 items, and I guess I understand from Eric that you and Eric had a walkthrough. And just,
Yes.
yeah. And I just, either you or Eric, if we could just say, start from number one and just.
I'll run through that list. Number one, sidewalk block along pond in phase 3 and armor tile repairs. The sidewalk blocks have been replaced. Path repairs in reserve area. The notes that I have from the site walk indicate that this was seeding, not asphalt repairs. Number 3, golf cart bridge. Village prefer a replacement of the taller railings I talked about. Street tree replacement. I'm glad we're going through this line by line. We have not replaced the street trees yet. We'll be doing that in the next few weeks. We put street trees in just 2 times a year, in the spring and in the fall. And as the temperatures cool down just a little bit here in another 3 or 4 weeks, we'll be planting street trees and we'll replace those in the fall. We had been told a couple times we'd get a map. I haven't seen that. Eric, I don't know if you have one.
Jason, I realize you weren't at the walkthrough. So in talking with Doug and Ron, we walked the path, and I'll kind of detail it. I realize you weren't there. That there were a couple path point repairs that they have to do, and that one is before the culvert here, where the ground was breaking away into the stream, right where the little hand is. That was one spot. There's then as we come up here where the path was connected through here, there was a number of points to where the pathway is breaking away, and it's a continuing problem you've had with where you had with the flow of water down along the side that's breaking the pathway. And so Ron and Doug were going to get on that to get that mitigated in multiple ways before you guys are done. There's also a fence up here that Ron and I are meeting about. I think it is tomorrow. Actually, it's right. I'm out there with him tomorrow, where it just needs another post. So it's just got to be redone a little bit. And everybody was agreeable with that particular repair as well too. And then the sidewalk was along this area over here in phase 3. That's been replaced. And then per email I saw today from Doug and with you copied on it, the reserve G area is marked here. This has been seeded twice. So that's been as per the plan the village approved a couple of years back with the landscape architect. So that was all confirmed. And then I know you were working on some of the exterior landscaping out here. You guys replaced all that. And then out here over to the west, you guys have obviously worked on that drainage situation, gotten that corrected in the process of putting down some straw and getting that to reseed itself. So those are a number of things I think on the list. Did I miss anything? I can address it.
I'll go back through number. We'll pick this back up and go number by number. But Eric, if you would please go back through you suggested that the path repairs were different than what I had been led to believe in terms of it sounds like asphalt repairs. Can you note for me where those are located again?
So right before the culvert right here, there's a breakdown right where the hand is. And that was noted by Ron and Doug out in the field. So that was to get corrected. They either need to add some more rock. Soil's not going to do it. Soil's getting washed away. So they need to reinforce it. Otherwise, in the near to midterm, water's going to start breaking into the asphalt pathway here. It's just where it's flowing kind of down into the stream area.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. Is that the one by the other side of the spillway?
No, that's different.
This location Eric's pointing to is at the pedestrian culvert. Eric, I just want to clarify. So there's no distress or failure of the asphalt yet. You're just concerned about erosion leading to that?
It is leading up to that. Yes, you can clearly see where it's coming right to the edge of the path. So it's not far from that point.
Okay, now I'll double check with Doug and Ron. I think they felt like they were addressing that through grading, seeding, mulching, maybe some jute matting, stuff like that. But I believe that's been taken care of, but I'll double check. Go ahead. And if you would, please proceed with the various path locations. And if you could be specific, if there are any locations where there's actual asphalt work, let me know.
Yeah, no, there's not, to my knowledge, a direct asphalt work on our walkthrough, and we walked the path. That wasn't the issue. It was where we had continuing water problems, just from flow naturally with the way everything has been laid out from a grading plan, that especially here where the pathway is coming up to the dam area, that's also not far off from starting to grade the path. And they've been aware of that for some time and have worked on a number of fixes along there.
So number 2 says pathway repairs in reserve areas. So Jason is correct in that it is not asphalt.
It is not asphalt, correct. It is getting to the point of getting to the asphalt. It is degrading the area around the asphalt, which will break it away.
We can certainly double check this, but that's consistent with what I had been told, that it was mostly grading, seeding work, erosion control work, and that those issues have all been addressed over the last few days.
Well, there's a spot up where Eric's indicating up there, up further up north of that, like where the water that comes from the draining of the dam.
Yeah.
There's like rocks that come that area back there. And, I think it's a combination of a natural run from all of the houses that drain their, have their drains coming from the roof to that area. It's always underwater back there. I would say behind lots 250 to 253, well, not to 253, but 250, 251, 249. Well, not 249.
I'd say the
250,
207,
251.
208s.
So I'm a bit confused. 207, 208, 209, that path is right at the top of a hill and some very steep, some very steep grades. And then
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
Well, there's erosion there. That's an issue with erosion on right below the dam. Where that fence is at.
Damn.
Yeah.
And there's a excessive erosion right at 207, 208. It looks like the rocks or whatever they use to, I don't know, slow the water down when it goes over the spillway. It's running differently than it did before, and it is really eating away that hillside.
So there's two things going on here. All right. One is pathway stuff, and what is Tony's talking about is dam stuff. All right. And
Yeah.
I'll let you jump in on the dam stuff, but my understanding in discussion with Ron and Doug out in the field is that that's a separate project, because I pointed out that there's obviously, once this has gone in, there's clearly points that have to be adjusted. Someone in the village, in all likelihood, is going to have to reinforce sections of the post spillway there as it's taking out the hillside. And that's a different discussion, I assume. That wasn't something I was told that MI was going to take care of.
Well, I think when talking about the punch list, we just now started talking about it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to keep the dam separate, and that's true of the fence associated with the dam. The dam was built in 2017 and 18 and has been accepted by ODNR, and our contract with the dam contractor was, that's when that fence was put in, and it's a different type of fence than what we put in more recently. I think, number 7 is a request to change out the fence types or replace some of the dam fence, and that fence is now 2 to 3 years old. And again, that's a part of an ODNR project that's been approved and accepted. I'd like to keep our punch list items focused on the subdivision.
Well, it's part of the infrastructure improvements.
Okay, well, Tony, it sounds like there were some erosion issues that were not on the punch list. You're making references to stuff that aren't on the punch list, and to my knowledge,
I understand that, but we just started to see the punch list, and it wasn't put onto the punch list, but we can add it in another time if you'd like.
That's fine. I mean, like I said, I haven't received anything other than this 13 item. If there's additional items to add to it, send them to us.
When you say cleaned up, what do you mean?
Well, it must not have
had
had
the dirt. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a buffer mound. That's it. Just.
Well, I'll take a look at it, but it to me looks like a bunch of dirt that needs to go away.
Well, take a look at it. I don't agree. I mean, it's not unusual at all for us to do this sort of thing. I mean, the village wanted us to put a 6 or 8 foot chain link fence across the southern boundary. I'm not sure why you think a 4 or 5 foot mound needs to go away.
Well, it's more like, I mean, I could see it as being a buffer mound, but it's not. I look at it from a maintenance standpoint, and it's more of a hill that, you know, it's not easy to mow that.
Well,
Is what I'm looking at. I'm not sure what you had said that they did something out there, but
they
haven't
just
looked at it for some time.
Yeah, take another look at it. Since the site walk, I think the way it was described to me, they just kind of maybe regraded it and then reseeded it, just to try to get better ground cover. But keep in mind, almost all of these open spaces were not intended to be regularly mowed and maintained. Most of these areas have been, you know, intended to be left natural, with the idea of being just try to minimize overall open space maintenance costs.
Well, I know, but that, I mean, that's just, to me, a pile of dirt that was excess from wherever you moved it from. I mean, but I'll take a look at it. I mean, if it's
okay,
the mound has been leveled out a little bit, I'm great with that.
Okay, we'll take a look at it. The area around the basketball court we talked about was just recently reseeded. Landscaping repairs to the pond area. I'm not sure what those specific were, but anything pointed out during the site walk has been addressed there.
Correct. On the ponds, obviously sometimes these ponds aren't always designed in the best way, where they stick these bushes around them. trees were fine. A number of bushes had died. They pulled the bushes. So a number of mulch had washed away, and there was no need to replace that to give us more maintenance. It can just grow in. So that's what was discussed and observed.
Okay.
I, for one, am very, very happy to hear that there are that the seeding program has been through wildflowers, because this was started before I ended up on council, but that was going to be one of my questions, what the seeding mix or environmental reclamation elements of this project were going to be. So well done to MI. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we got through the list, and then I'd like to go back to my number 14 was, I'm not sure we addressed the where it's undercutting the walking path, that's where you cross over the bridge, the dam going south, and you go up, or I'm sorry, you go around the corner, and the water from several houses there flows right next to the walking path as it goes down. And it is undercutting the asphalt. And I noticed today that it's been marked. So it's been looked at because it has orange marks on it. And what's been done is some netting has been put down. And I don't see that as a fix when you could clearly see that the water is coming down parallel to the walkway and just like 6 inches over. And I've been there when it's been pouring rain, and I've taken a video of it, how it comes down as if it's a little baby river. And I don't see that putting some netting next to the asphalt in that one spot is gonna get it done.
Yeah, it definitely needs to be mitigated, Diane, and that was what the walkthrough demonstrated and what was discussed at the time. But I think what I would simply say is, Jason, I believe MI is working on that, and it may take a few tries.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you mean by mitigated. If the netting is jute matting, it's a combination of straw and seed, and it gets anchored down, and it just helps seed take on steeper slopes. More often than not, when that's used in these applications, they probably have regraded or cut some swales in. I'm trying to visualize what you're describing. They haven't graded anything out there.
No,
Okay.
they didn't.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
If they did actually, I mean, since that's the natural flow of the water,
Mhm.
if you're not going to change that flow of the water, then it needs to be a little
Eric,
gully
can
or
you
something there.
can somebody tell me specifically where we're talking about?
Yeah, so it's right, Jason. The pathway here, it's not shown on this preliminary plan, but the pathway obviously winds up here and connects to this side of the path up here before the dam, right? And it is cutting across this steeper grade where it was put in. It comes up here. It was well done. People use it a lot. It was great that the connection was made, and I know MI did that. But what they've seen is that, as you know, especially from our walkthrough in a day like today, where you've got the downpours, the water is flowing hard. It is impacting, well, I should say, cutting across on a lateral four, kind of to this direction to this direction as it goes down, and it follows the path, and so it's getting a little. It will eventually cut into the path, and so I know that they were using that. They were trying to get something done there. They had cut. In the past, they had cut a small swale along the side. And one thing we did discuss, as you'll see, you know, it's similar techniques the way ODOT utilizes some type of hard concrete swale surface in order to take the water down safely so it stops eroding into the underlayment of the path. And really that's what's going to end up happening. So I know that may be their first attempt to mitigate that, but I'm telling you, you're probably going to have to go with some little bit of a harder surface on a short run from this point to this point to get the water down and away from the pathway in a safe fashion without it cutting in. It's my observation.
I'll take a look at it.
But I think the problem is back, like I was mentioned before, behind lot 250 and 251.
This is
If
a
you look at
dam issue.
The
Tony, we
topography
can talk about
there,
this more, but
I
this
think
is a
that's
dam
the
issue.
836, 834, 832.
Yeah,
You know, that spot behind the low spot, right
There's no
behind
light?
250
Those
and
are foot
250.
grading marks.
yeah, he's
Okay.
talking about whether the dam water comes down like this and then it juts and turns. Okay. And what's happened is that they didn't anticipate when they designed the dam, they didn't anticipate the hard flows sometimes. And you can see it. If you guys go stand up here on the bridge, look this way, you'll see where the water flows out here is cutting into the hillside. And that is a problem. Okay. That is a midterm problem you're going to have to deal with. Now, it's probably MI's taken the position that it's not their problem, okay, because it's a different project. So what we're talking about from a subdivision standpoint on the pathway that's here, well, I'm talking about water that goes along here that's cutting into the pathway design that's part of our, part of our pathway that we're going to be, taking over. So that's definitely something that we need to have taken care of.
Well, but
The
here,
damage-
It's
Go ahead.
definitely
There's another
different.
area.
It's definitely not caused by the dam. This is caused by the houses that have been built
Yeah.
in that area, and
The
it's
water
their
flow.
backyards, and the flow is coming from the higher level backyards
Correct.
down parallel to that path. It's taking
Correct.
the same path as the path is
Yeah.
taking. The water.
So I think Diane is referring to areas behind lots 207, 208, and 209 along the path. Excuse me. And then Eric and Tony are talking about areas behind 250 and 251 that might be different areas.
Eric is talking about the same thing Diane is talking about in regards to pathway fixing. So Tony is talking about things in regards to the dam that I was also trying to assist with there. So there's two things I'm talking about. But I want to separate the dam just as you do for the purposes of our discussion and talking about the pathway repair.
Eric, you were talking about channel erosion as a result of flow coming off the dam, though. That doesn't have anything to do with 207, 208, and 209.
Jason, you are correct. I was, because I was jumping on what Tony was talking about, trying to separate out the issues. I know I'm telling them to go there and look at, there's two problems here. One of which we are not talking about with MI right at this moment in time. We're talking with you about the pathway repair that comes from here to here. All right. And the water flow off of 207 and 208. So I'm sorry for the confusion over Zoom. All right. But we're definitely talking about that item, and that's what I want to stick to as well.
Right, good. Okay, so, okay.
Well,
Good with that,
Well,
then this-
you know,
then I'm-
as I mentioned a few weeks ago, just, get us a punch list, preferably with a site map attached, and let us know. I kind of thought none of that was on the punch list, and I didn't get any feedback from Doug or Ron about anything in this open space area. But we'll take a look. I'll take personally a look
we've
again
been
at the paths.
struggling with getting the list put together. I've been asking to see the punch list for quite some time, and I apologize that it's not on the list, but yeah.
That's why
There's a couple things that aren't on the list.
Right. That's why we sent it to everybody and asked everybody to give us their input.
Correct.
Well, that's fine. I'll take a look at it again. And these items that hadn't been previously discussed, that Eric's describing. My only caveat is, we're obviously dealing with jurisdictional waters of the U.S. and what we do in and around them has to be somewhat careful. I want to put eyes on what Eric's describing. If it's erosion control and stream bank stabilization, stuff like that, we can help get that taken care of.
Okay.
And the other issue I'll just say with that going behind 207, 208, 209 is you have the little stream coming down basically next to the walking path on the south side of the walking path, and it's significantly eroding. But when it gets to the bottom and then joins up and there's a little bridge that goes over it, the water has nothing to do but skip over a low point on the path to get to the stream. So what probably needs to be mentioned is not just on the side of the path, and I'm moving my mouse like other people can see it, so I'll stop doing that. That base of that hill, excuse me, right before the bridge, there needs to be some way to take that water that's coming down and get it to the stream other than it just tripping its way over the path.
Correct.
Okay. A small drain pipe or culvert, something like that. Okay.
I mean, I can also send again the video I did during a storm, and I followed the flow all the way down the path. I have that available.
I'd be interested in seeing it.
Okay, great. And so, and Tiffany has your email address?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm joining late. I've been listening for about 10 minutes. This is Councilman Curl for the record. I have a question, if I may. When these issues come up, one for Eric, are we marking these on a map as a result of our discussions tonight
so
so we
Zach,
can review them? And
let me jump on the map thing here. So I walked out there. There are most of these issues. Now, this issue here, I will be happy to go back out and very carefully detail everything. I will get some nice photos. We'll make a really nice map for this area because this is an issue here that probably needs to get a little more detail. The vast majority of things that we walked through out in there that the other members of MI team and I were out there for, they marked off, they took care of. Most of them are items that were already handled. They're landscaping, trees, things of that nature that are along the whole thing. This issue with path stabilization, a little different. We'll make sure we get a thorough map to everybody, okay?
that would be great. I mean, just a cursory map, like with a red dot and an arrow type thing. Anyway,
Nice
my
map.
other question is when these issues come up, this is a question for MI. Do you have a civil engineering firm that looks at these issues, or do you do that in-house?
We do a lot of it in-house, and we've got a couple of really good contractors, especially when it comes to grading and drainage and erosion control. And we do use the armored matting that you described. I think we get better practical help from our in-house development team and a few of the vendors we work with than the civil engineers we work with. If we really needed some engineering help, we certainly have those resources available.
Maybe you could provide the name of whatever civil engineering firm you've used in Minerva Park for us. I'm sure it's on the record somewhere.
Yes, certainly. It's EMH&T. The primary design engineer is Diane Marin, Marin.
Oh, okay, now you mentioned the firm. I know of them. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I had.
I'd be happy to join. I'm sorry. I was just going to say I'd be happy to go back through, get an updated punch list. I want to go out and take a look at these areas you've mentioned here, 2 or 3 locations, and we'll get those addressed again. And I could join you again in a few weeks. Our goal obviously is just to get all of these areas addressed and cleaned up before the end of the construction season.
Yes.
I got one question for Tony. Did we ever resolve this underground versus overground utility thing? Is that a moot point at this time, or is that still on the list?
Well, I've been talking
It's a
about
moot-
that. I
moot
mean,
point.
I'll be honest, the explanation I was given didn't really make a lot of sense. It's that, there's, right there, Green Line Way and Minerva Lake Road, there's, the new lines that weren't buried. And, the reason I was given before is that they didn't have time.
That's not accurate. It was nothing to do with time. They were a relocation of an existing overhead line that ran the entire north property line. It didn't have anything to do with time. It was a relocation of an overhead line.
Right, I know. It's the line, I understand it was
So
relocated,
Jason,
but
what might be really helpful for Councilman Benedetti, because I know this is hard to understand to some degree, but when you have an existing easement for the power lines, can you tell him you cannot just take that easement away from AP, correct? You have to give them a relocation of that line with all its legal rights. Am I correct in stating that?
Yeah, that's correct. And they rarely bury lines at anybody's request. If they're overhead, they're going to leave them overhead. And in this case, we were fortunate enough to get them to work with us to relocate them, to accommodate the development. But that's all they were willing to do, is just simply relocate the existing lines.
And they can say no too to that, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
or you
Tony,
could have,
Weren't those
I-
underground to start with, Tony, rather than
No.
over?
no, there's a line that
Oh.
went straight across, went down the back line of the properties, on Minerva Lake Road. And now it comes out towards Minerva Lake Road and then goes over, there's just a bunch of poles that weren't there before. And like I said, I don't understand, you know, the requirements were for all new lines to be buried, and those weren't.
All of the
You're saying
lines,
that it's part of a, you know,
All the
existing.
new lines.
What's that?
all the new lines are buried. Every new service that services the 250 homes are all underground.
Correct.
I understand that, but
And then they
that
pop
line-
up overground when they get to us. Is that what I'm hearing?
It was an existing line that falls behind the back of lots 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It ran across the entire north property line. It's probably hundreds of years old. In fact, it was originally part of a trolley line. The easements were in the name of a trolley line company.
Green
Yeah.
line.
There are rights to
Yeah,
those.
We
cannot-
had a trolley line that went from Cleveland Avenue over to Route 3.
That's how old those easements are, and that's generally part of what we're seeing there. But it's still there. It's an existing overhead line, just like we have an existing overhead line along the south property line too.
Good grief, who owns that?
Yeah, but that was moved. I mean, I've been around this with Eric. He's expressed your opinion about it being part of an existing
As has legal
line,
counsel.
and therefore it didn't need to be buried. But
Well, I
I
bring it
beg
up
to differ
because
with
this
you on
is
that.
going to come up in the future when we get to any kind of beautification aspects over around the lakes.
I mean, I just say, I don't see why it couldn't have been buried, other than it would have cost more money.
Okay, so
They
we,
can say no.
all right. Okay, so I think
If
we're
you
done
would
with
have
that
asked AEP
conversation.
to bury it, they would have buried it.
This has been explained.
Yeah, I think we've been down here, been down
Well-
the path. We're not necessarily, it's not aesthetically pleasing, but that's the way it just, okay, moving on.
That was all of the items I had on my list. It sounds like there's 2 or 3 things that still need to be addressed, and we'll get on that over the course of the next couple weeks.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, and appreciate everybody's time.
all right,
Thanks.
Goodbye.
bye.
Okay, moving on. Let's go to meeting minutes. May 11th, 2020 council meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Oh, I guess I should be writing this down.
I got it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, so those are approved. Let's move on to June 8th, 2020 council meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
I need.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? All right, let's go to June 15th, 2020 special council meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
So-
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, and June 22nd, 2020 council meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, we are done with that. All right, let's move on to the variance. This is for the fence variance at 4840 Black Sycamore. I am currently at the community building to make sure that we did not have anybody beating down the door because they did not approve of this. And so far I've not had anyone. So we're good. Jason is actually on this somewhere. I'm not sure where he is, but he is on our list of people in case anybody has anything that we are going to need to ask him for. And by Jason, I mean the current homeowner. So Eric is on here also. I think most of the information is in your packet. Jason, our code enforcement officer, wrote up his recommendations, and I believe that's probably attached somewhere if I look.
And it was recommended by P and Z as submitted.
And so this is basically what we're trying to fix so people don't have to go back and do all of this. But for this point in time, we do have to do this. So
Yeah, this one made it through.
lucky him.
So, but based on the paperwork, it appears that if I'm reading this right, that P and Z has recommended approval.
Correct.
Correct.
And as you said, there have been no neighbors or other members of the community trying to beat down your door to stop it.
No, in fact, the neighbors were agreeable to the change on the rear. I think on this plot plan, it's the lot right behind 109 here, so lot 70. They actually signed something that said that they were in support of it.
Okay, and it's not going to, get out in front of the streets or hurt right-of-ways or create blind spots on the road as far as planning and zoning is concerned then?
No,
All right, well, I've got no issues then.
He is correct. The letter that the other residents that they actually signed this, Lori and Aaron. There is a document attached in the packet.
Yeah, I did go through the whole thing and I read it to the best of my abilities. As long as it's approved by everybody, I'm fine.
Anybody else?
Yeah, no, I would go with the P and Z's decision.
All right. We actually need to do a roll call, Eric. This is where I don't. Or
yeah,
just all
I
in
would,
favor.
it's a variance, so I would definitely take a roll call and have everyone vote individually.
Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and do that. To accept.
Could you read exactly what we're voting on
You
before
have
we
to make
vote?
a motion.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just reading it exactly the way it is. Variance V2-2020, the fence at 4840 Black Sycamore. Again, planning and zoning has passed this up, recommending approval. And so now we are asking for council's approval. Is there?
I move to vote on this.
I move to
To-
vote on.
I would move
Yeah.
to, if I may, I
accept
would
the
move to
variance.
vote for the approval of the variance per P and Z's recommendation and as submitted.
Second.
Someone has to make that motion besides me.
I know.
I think Diane did make the motion.
Yeah, she was
Oh,
trying.
yeah.
I thought I
Vote on.
did, yeah.
Okay, Tony seconded it. All right, let's do roll call. Councilman Benedetti,
Aye.
Councilman Brugger,
Aye.
Councilman Wolf,
Aye.
Councilman Curl.
Aye.
And let's see, who am I missing? Councilman McNamara
On the assurances of P and Z, aye.
and Council President Trump.
Aye.
All right, and that has been approved. And we are off and running. Oh, my screen shut off. Okay, we are now off to legislation.
Oh, okay, several to get through tonight. Resolution 2020-26. I believe this is our second reading?
Yes,
Yes, because we read it first time with X's in.
correct.
This is a resolution authorizing our contract with McKinley Landscaping for leaf pickup. Last time we read this, it was just for XXX. The cost of the leaf pickup is $28,000. Is this the new company or is this who we've always used?
This was the recommendation from the Streets Committee, and this is the person that we have used in the past.
Awesome. Who I have always been happy with. So there we are. So red.
And I have some happy neighbors to have heard that we're moving forward on this, so.
Oh, and as long as we're reading it, we might as well say, want to have anything other to go about other than happy neighbors? Nope. Moving on to 2020-27. This is first reading. Oh, okay. So this is going to be a little bit more. A resolution authorizing and approving the execution of a contract with Paycor and declaring an emergency. So this would move us from doing our payroll in-house to using Paycor to do our payroll and processing like that. It has been recommended by administration that we pass it with waiving of the 3 readings and as an emergency. So the changeover can happen before the end of, or by the start of the 4th quarter of the fiscal year. Any discussion on that? Anyone gonna have a big problem if I,
You have to move first. You have to.
Yeah, so you make a,
I'll just toss a question out to Mayor Hughes. Did,
Supposed to just
did
move
Gene
to
check
waive
off
the
on
3
this?
readings
hold
first.
on, Joey, because I did it wrong. Let me actually make the motion, then we'll talk about it. Sorry, that was my mistake. I move that we pass resolution 2020 and waive the 3 readings.
No,
two separate things. You have to
Okay,
move
first
to, move to
I
waive
move
reading.
that we waive the 3 readings.
there we go.
Second,
There we go.
All right, now. Somebody want to talk about it?
Joe, yeah, you had a question, Joe?
Yeah, I just was gonna ask Mayor Hughes if Jean checked off on this and she's satisfied with everything in there.
Yes, we have talked to them. We've talked to them numerous times about the IRS requests, and basically the easiest answer I have is we're not their first municipality. We're not their first customer. They've been in business for a really long time. They do everything that they're supposed to do. And Leah's on here if anybody wants to ask any more specific questions, because she has been dealing directly with them as well. But I have no concerns.
I have a question for Leah. She's the one currently doing payroll, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so Leah feels comfortable then with the transfer over of this authority and the outsourcing of it. You're comfortable with that happening?
Yes,
Oops,
I am. Yes.
We're not outsourcing any authority.
Well, I know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, technically, we're not signing over any powers of attorney, is what I'm getting at. Therefore,
Correct.
Okay.
We are not.
Is there any other expenses we've got not to exceed for Paycor, $6,500 per year? In terms of the implementation, would we be having to order new checks or anything like that?
Not that I am aware. No.
There's a pretty significant list of 14-page contract list that kind of goes through everything. The other part to that is, as you guys are very well aware, I do leave a little bit of a cushion in there. The reason that we do have a little bit of a cushion in there is, and if you look at the contract, it's a little different because every time we have an additional employee, there is going to be some additional charges as well. So yes, there is a potential. I mean, just being, the bearer of bad news, depending on, how EMS goes and, just everything throughout the next, whether or not we hire additional maintenance people. There's a lot of different things that could change next year. Again, if we hire a maintenance team, I want to say it's probably somewhere, I think we looked at it, it was somewhere between $50 and $100 every time we add a new person. So, we only have a couple people cushion in there. If there's a significant change with adding 5-10 people part-time or seasonal people, you're going to see that number go up.
Right. And that quote is based on 50 employees right now.
Which we're pushing.
well, I have a quick question. Now, the way this works without reading the whole contract, then they prepare the payroll, they send reports, and then we deposit money into an IRS escrow account or directly in the 941 account based on their reports. Is that how that works? The money?
We don't
No.
even do it now, Joe. That's not
Pardon
even
me?
how it works now. That's not even how it works now.
Well, I don't know how it works. That was my question.
Right, but you're asking questions as you're asking basically a company. You're asking questions because I'm not, here's what I'm going to say. We're using a company that a lot of municipalities use, including police departments and EMS. We've asked if they have done, that they do everything basically by the law. Do you deposit, is your IRS, is everything, have you ever had any issues or any problems? The answer is no, no, and no. you're going in and asking questions about a law case that happened years ago and this and that. I
No,
doubt that there's fraudulent people out there, but I don't go
that's
in.
not what I was asking. I was just asking, when they prepare the reports, this the process is they send you payroll reports, right?
Correct. They will be sending
then
payroll
They
reports.
tell you this is the amount of money that is owed directly to the federal government, and then we send it, right?
We do not send it, no. Paycor will be taking care of all withholdings, including IRS.
So they'll be
So we will not send it.
So they'll be in possession of the money.
They will be in
Yes.
possession of, I would assume they're in possession of our.
So they do have they're signers on an
wired or
account.
whatever.
No,
It's
well,
important why I
that's,
asked this.
Yeah, no, that's not. Normally there's the village would set up an account that's a payroll account, and they would find out how much money would be needed to be moved into that account prior to the payroll being processed. It goes down to basically zero, and then every payroll there. That's how it doesn't have to always work that way, but the easiest way is for them to just say, hey, Leah, we want to make sure that you got X dollars in your payroll bank account, and we're going to run the checks.
Okay, so they are signers on an account that sends to the 941 account, and they do it based on their calculations, and we deposit money to the account. And as they write the check, or do we have a standing account or something like that? It's important why I asked this. I guess I could go read the contract, but I don't have time.
Yeah, I think that would be beneficial, is to go read through the 14-page contract. Again, I guess I'm going to say it this way.
Oh, I thought you said 50 pages.
No,
14, I might, man.
It's a 14-page contract. It's a payroll company that's been in business for a really long time. I'm going to be honest. I have not asked them specifically exactly how, from process A to Z. We had an hour to 2 hour long. Leah's talked to them numerous times as far as how the functions work, what we need to do, what we don't need to do. But as far as exactly how their operations work at their particular company and everything that they do, no, I have not asked specific exact questions as to from A, B, C, D, E. I asked the main questions. How can you help us? How can we help you? What do we need to do to set this up? What types of referrals do you have? The main questions there, but their business module and, all of that kind of stuff. No, I didn't go from A to Z to all of that. We went based on recommendations.
I'm not trying to be a pain in the neck. What I'm trying to do is establish that if they send reports, and obviously, regardless of the contract, they're going to calculate what all the withholdings are. And the moment they calculate that, whether it's their computer or ours, the money belongs to the federal government, not to them or us. But if they were to abscond with a penny of it, we're still on the hook for it, both civilly and in other ways. So that's all I'm asking. Normally, it would have the money, it would be Minerva Park's money, of course, and then it would be transferred to the federal government. Now, if it goes through them, they're just liabilities.
Any other discussion?
No, I think what Joe is saying is correct, but again, I don't think Paycor is going to single us out to get us into trouble. But it is true that it's Paycor screws up, and they have human beings doing this process. So if they do screw up, we are on the hook, regardless, because it's our responsibility. It's kind of like it's like health insurance. It's like anything else. If you go to the doctor and you pick the wrong doctor, you're gonna have to pay no matter what happens to the insurance. So that, but we have, the administration has to have people. We have to have people who understand the whole process internally, so that they can monitor that and make sure that they've got our back. And that's what we have to hope the mayor is doing. And that so that's that. As you say, let's move on. Anyway, so we're so I guess we're ready to Tiffany vote on waiving the 3 readings.
It's been moved and seconded. We've had debate.
All right.
Tiffany, we're ready for you to call that roll.
All right, so let's go with Councilman Bruger,
Aye.
Councilman Wolf,
Aye.
Councilman Benedetti,
Aye.
Councilman Curl,
I abstain.
Councilwoman, Council President Shrimp,
Aye.
and Councilman McNamara.
I must also abstain with no negative intent.
Well, then we can't waive the 3 readings.
We can't waive the 3 readings.
So we will probably push this to 2021. So, because we won't have time to get it in before then. So, that's that.
All right, with that, not waiving the 3 readings, I guess I will just say it has been read.
Oh, can we pause here, since there was a goal and there may be reasons where would either councilpersons McNamara or Curl be interested, if it's a time issue, having not had an opportunity to review the contract, whatever, because we could schedule a special council meeting solely to try this again. Right?
I'd be willing to do that. I just would want to look, that's all.
All right, well then.
I just don't want to
I'd
vote
like to make
aye
a
to something
motion
I
to
don't know.
reconsider.
Okay, well, I'm just going to say something. Then I would really like for people to read the stuff that I send to them several weeks ago. This isn't something that was sent out yesterday, the day before, the day before, the day before. Everybody has had this for weeks, at least 2 weeks. Maybe I'm wrong, but I believe it's been about 2 weeks. So when we have these meetings, a lot of us do have a lot going on in our lives. We have children at home, we have everything else. So, I have no problem spending the extra time if that's what we need to do to get this done. But I'm spending 2 hours here tonight because I'm ready for a council meeting. So this is a bash, I guess, right now, because again, like all of us, we have a lot of meetings going on this week. We're here to get a job done. And if the sole reason is you haven't had time to look at something that you've had for 2 weeks, please take the time, because we're all sitting here if that is your sole reason.
Well, 2 things I'll say. One, I've studied 7202 for years, not the last week or two. And 2, this isn't based on something from years ago. Anybody can read 7202. I'm just trying to do what's best for the village and every
We're
person
talking
in the
about you
government.
not reading the contract for the pay corps.
No, it's possession of the money. I'll just make one point so everybody understands it. The instant any computer, no matter who it belongs to, calculates that there's money taken from a person's wages, it instantly belongs to the federal government. Now, whoever's in possession of the money, if they don't turn it over instantly, there is no defense. They simply come after the organization and the people in it. And that's the end of the whole thing. And so I'm just trying to see who, if, say, for example, we're doing this quarterly and there's $300,000 or $500,000 that have been withheld from people's wages, of course, all depending on how many employees you have and so forth, but it's a lot of money. So whoever's in possession of that, if anyone absconds with it before it gets to the federal government account, we're on the hook for.
Right. So
that's all.
Can we
Period.
Can we look to schedule a special council meeting if people will be prepared to have done their due diligence for next Monday, or even tomorrow, right? As long as we have 24-hour notice, we can do a special council meeting.
That'd be absolutely fine with me.
I've done my due diligence. I've asked this question about 30 times over the last 3 weeks. I've never got a yes, no, or a maybe. So
but you haven't read the contract,
that someone's
so.
not doing their due diligence, or the idea they don't know what they're talking about, is ridiculous. I can give you all the degree in this.
Right, Joe. You've set
Joe,
forth.
are you the one who already said you haven't read the contract, and you're the one with the very specific question?
No.
The answer to which is probably in that contract. So
there's no Brian, there is no such thing as a contract to change IRS law or how they operate and how they do withholdings, which they treat separately from any other penny they touch. And so this is the point I'm trying to make.
Your question is
No.
specifically about how this payroll service
No.
operates.
I'm trying to find out when, say, for example, payroll's processed, the checks are distributed, there's $100,000 removed that belongs to the federal government, where the money is, and to make certain it's not in the wrong hands. Now, this is
Right.
all
So
legal
that is-
stuff, but
Company
that
that
is-
makes the payment to the IRS.
Yeah, Joe, that is specifically a question about how this payroll service operates. The answer to which is most likely in that contract, right? And so you have a very specific question about how this payroll service operates, and you
No.
yourself have said you
it
haven't
has
looked at
nothing
the
to do with the
contract.
company, Brian. I'm asking how we process the money. It's Minerva Park money. It's removed from Minerva Park payroll wages, and then the money, where is it?
I'm certain we would do it in the
The
manner the
instant-
contract
the-
specifies.
I think we
It's
have
in
an
our,
account. Wade,
it's
I
in
think
our
maybe Wade
accounts,
need to
but the
jump in.
moment any payroll service calculates it,
Right.
the money doesn't, it shouldn't be in anyone's account but our own, and then it should go directly based on what amount is owed,
Right.
either into an IRS escrow account where it's protected from embezzlement or other things, and then second, it gets deposited to the IRS on time.
All right. Sorry, I shouldn't have stirred the pot
So it
again.
has to do with
So-
us. It has nothing to do with the company.
So when
But
are we
I-
scheduling the special council meeting?
Well, yes, okay, but I'm trying to say one more thing that maybe will make that unnecessary, and that is that if the money isn't in possession of someone else, and we're talking about a lot of money, and for any reason, if the money disappears, we owe it twice with penalties, and there's criminal penalties to this as well as civil that aren't what you think they are. So we could have a special meeting, but I just want to ensure, if there's hundreds of thousands of dollars of village money in an account where anything could happen to it, other than it being turned over to the federal government, that we look at that. I've been bringing that up for weeks. I've done my due diligence for a long
You've
time.
gone on Paycor's website because it specifically goes into federal tax deposit 101, everything employers must know. What is the federal tax deposit? The IRS has specific and strict guidelines with withholding taxes, and withholding taxes must be reported to the IRS. This process is called the federal tax deposit. In this guide, we'll outline important aspects of payroll processing and the federal tax deposit. Before we dig into go on Paycor's website. Everything that you're asking is on Paycor's website. Again,
So
The
again,
deposit's the end of the
wait,
trail. That's
if
when
we-
it's put into the
if we
federal
can-
government's account. I'm talking about the
if we-
beginning of the trail when the
let's
money
not stir
isn't
this
in the
again.
federal government account and where it is until they get it. That's all. And
so when
everybody can make an
when can we
argument
schedule this
about it.
special
It's
council
not
meeting?
an argument to the IRS.
Joe, I
but
still can't figure out
I'll
what you're
send
trying
everybody
to
some
ask that.
material on this. I was trying to
Okay,
keep
are
that
you
out.
wanting to know Minerva Parks policy, or are you wanting to know Paycor's policy?
I'm
Paycor's
wanting to know,
online.
well, I'll say it again. I've said it as precise as I know how. One, the instant a withholding is made, whether it's on paper or in someone's head or in the thin air, that money belongs to the federal government. So any messing with it by any means, delay or non-payment, they do not have to go through what you think of as standard law in order to deal with it. They simply say, and correctly and indisputably, the money has been defrauded from the federal government, and they go after it in exactly that manner. They'll freeze an account in 5 minutes. They'll send 20 agents someplace. Maybe that's happened. I don't know. But I'm just saying the money, the withholding money, should not be put at risk ever for any reason. There's no contract that can change it, but
So I guess I'm still not understanding what you're asking. So we need to move on. We need to move on. Okay, we need to move on.
Is your worry that Paycor is going to have access to this money and
Well,
abscond?
That's what I
therefore
asked to start, Mark. This is 10 minutes ago. I asked, is this money end up in a Paycor account? And somebody said yes.
Who
That's
said
when I brought
yes?
it up.
Who
I
has
don't
said
think
yes?
anyone
Nobody
said
has said it goes to Paycor's account.
And that information is
Okay,
probably
that's,
outdated.
I'm just trying to clarify this. Everybody can get mad at me if they want.
Nobody's.
So what?
I mean, honestly, at this point, I guess I'm still at the same thing. I have two things to say.
I think it's just a miscommunication here. I think
I'm not in
what you're
disagreement.
saying,
because-
Tiffany, is the money is deposited to the IRS from Minerva Park, and based on their reports. That's all I was,
Correct. We get all of the reports.
and then we send them the money.
The only, again, I will be the first to admit, I am not a fiscal officer. I do not do withholdings. All of my employees are 1099, so I don't have to do all of this. So I'm going to be the first to say it. We had a very
Except
robust.
for one thing, Tiffany, if so much as a penny or all of it disappeared, you're on the hook for it.
And
Period.
I'm comfortable going through a company as large as Paycor, because if any, here's what I would say. I don't know.
Well,
that,
this isn't about Paycor. Maybe we should have some other discussion. It's
then I guess
screwing up the meeting, but it's
okay. But Joe,
there's
here's
nothing
what
more
I'm
important.
important. If this has nothing to do with Paycor, then this legislation has nothing to do with anything. If you are more concerned about the internal of what Minerva Park does, that should have nothing to do with us.
I'm
moving
not. I'm there. There shouldn't be an external. Is all I'm saying. That they, let's say for example, they do a payroll, and the payroll, the withholdings are $150,000. Well, then the $150,000 is a check that goes from Minerva Park to the IRS account.
Okay.
That's hopefully that's how it works. Because if it works any other way, it shouldn't be.
Right, but what does that have to do with the payroll, the Paycor contract?
Nothing. It has to do with.
Okay, but that's what we're talking about. We are not talking about what Minerva Park does.
Well, Tiffany, I asked you 10 minutes ago if the withholding money was in a Paycor account. You said yes, it was.
Nobody has said anything. If I said that, you guys can all yell
I'm
at
just trying
me.
to clarify. Let's clarify.
I've
that.
never
We can
said it.
move on.
Okay. So the other thing I'm going to tell you is David actually has something that he would like to say. His hand has been raised for a really long time. I know he's been reviewing. I believe he was reviewing some of the contract, but anyways, let's let him talk for a second. Let's see where we are. And then we can schedule for Brian. The only thing I want to say before we schedule one for tomorrow night, if we do end up needing to do that, because again, that is entirely up to you guys. I don't have an issue doing it. But I can't post it tonight because Becky's not here and Leah can't sign it.
So it might have to be Wednesday.
Yeah, it would have to be, which I have.
Wednesday anyway, because we can't give a 24-hour notice.
Right,
unless
that's what I'm
we have a
saying.
meeting.
Yeah.
We couldn't post it in time.
There was
David,
something
what's your
posted
question?
on the calendar for tomorrow, FYI.
That was the get together with the architecture groups tomorrow from I forget the exact time, but
Yeah, but I'm not sure if those are listed as council meetings. If they're listed as council
It was
meetings,
listed as that's what confused me. It was listed as a council meeting.
we were going back and forth between listing it as a council meeting and listing it as a work session. I thought we were a work session, but I
at
don't.
any rate, I do apologize for my initial abstention. I do actually recall having seen this some time ago, and on the recommendation of our fiscal officer and the administration, I would actually be in favor of this. So if it is legal or possible to
I
be
say
in,
we make, what's the number of this resolution, or is a resolution?
Yes.
2020-27.
It involves
2020?
United States Code Section 70.
20?
You'll need to make it.
202 if you wanna know,
if that's what you're
I'd
thinking.
like to make a motion to reconsider passing or waiving the 3 readings on resolution 2020-27.
Second.
All right, let's do roll call. All right.
I think
No,
that-
that's an all in favor aye, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that can just be a voice all in favor. And then we
Right.
have to take a new roll call on
Okay.
This is
the
just a motion to reconsider.
motion to whether or not we can redo it.
All those in favor?
I just want to check that one item and I'll vote in favor of the thing and not try and put this into a cluster mess.
Okay, all those, okay, so let's go ahead. It sounds like, is anybody opposed to bringing it back up?
Okay, since Tony has motioned and we have approved to reconsider, I'll once again put the question to the board or to the council that we waive the 3 readings of resolution 2020-27.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Hughes, if you could call the roll.
All right, let's try this again. Councilman Brugger,
Aye.
Councilman Wolf,
Aye.
Councilman McNamara.
so this is just a straight redo.
Right, this is just to waive the readings. This
Aye.
isn't passing anything, it's just waiving readings.
Yes, aye.
Council President Shrimp,
Aye.
Councilman Curl,
Aye.
Councilman Benedetti.
Aye.
All right, and now to the next.
I will say, David, if we just pass and waive the readings and don't pass it, I think Tiffany.
It's not funny. People are allowed to do what they want to do.
Oh,
Okay, the week we got that, I worked like 6 nights out of 8.
You
So
guys
I'm a
are
little,
totally fine. You guys, again, I get it. It's just one of those things that
Mhm.
it's been a long week, and I have 3 meetings this week. So adding another one, we will do if we need to, but we don't have to. Be prepared.
Okay, having waived the readings for resolution 2027, I move that we pass it and declare it an emergency so it can take effect, as I said earlier, in enough time to be effective for the third quarter pay financial
Fourth quarter.
thing that, fourth quarter, sorry, that Leah needs.
Second.
Any discussion on passing it?
No. All right, gonna do
Madam
roll
Mayor,
call.
call that roll.
Benedetti, Councilman Benedetti,
aye.
Council President Shrimp,
Aye.
Councilman Bruger,
Aye.
Councilman Wolf,
Aye.
Councilman McNamara.
on the advice of our fiscal officer and administrative staff, aye.
And Councilman Curl.
Abstain.
All right. Let's go to next
It
one.
already passed. Don't get mad at me.
Yeah, everybody has the right to their opinion. We don't have to like it, but you have a
Oh.
right to say no.
All right, moving on. Resolution 2020-28, a resolution authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to enter into contract with Atlas Butler, to install a new HVAC system in the community center. Cost is not to exceed $15,500. This is also cost that we are hoping, and I personally feel it will be fine to put on some of the money we got from the CARES Act that we can use for COVID-related prevention and such. This would increase airflow in the building, allow more outside air to be pulled in. And quite frankly, the air conditionings need replaced. And if we do it now, hopefully we can have CARES money pay for it. First reading, so that has been read, unless anyone wants to say anything about it.
I have a question mark. I don't mean question mark. I mean a question for Mark. So you had just mentioned the outside air. It was something I was concerned with, but I haven't seen the drawing. So this allows fresh air to be mixed in. This.
I'm assuming.
That's my
Yeah.
understanding as well.
Okay. Well.
That said, I have his email and everything. I would be more than happy to ask them if there is a percentage or how it works.
Well, real quickly, like all it is a duct and it goes to the outside someplace. So it allows by a remote control by the thermostat to allow outside air to be mixed in with the air that's circulating from inside the building. That's not only been, used for decades as the proper air design, but it's also now a big thing in COVID protection.
Yes.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
it does get in
the-
there. We will need to focus more on.
It's not an
in-person-
expensive thing to do. It can be done later.
And if we're hoping to get reimbursed through the CARES Act, then I think it's important that element, of taking air from outside in, and if it isn't in the proposal, it needs to be.
That's
because
what-
that would make it more likely to get approved.
I sent
for-
reports out to that effect a week ago, but that's all theory because I haven't seen the drawings or the specifics.
Everybody has all of the information I have. It's a several page contract. I don't know if it goes.
Okay.
It doesn't mention it. It does not mention it, Tiffany. That is
I will ask him because we did talk about it. There was
Yeah.
actually 4 gentlemen that were here that we did talk about that, and that was part of it. So
Right.
I will I've actually already sent an email.
I don't have a problem approving it, however it is now, as long as that, I got
I
that on
agree.
record. When we look at that, it's not an expensive change to make, and we might have an outside air system right now. It is. It's just a duct.
I think Joe's right in pointing this out, but we need to make sure that that's part of it.
It's awesome that we got those questions and can get those answers.
Yes, we
And
will have them. I'll
to-
forward
to-
this ahead.
so everybody understands whether we have a duct or not. Usually they update. There's a thing called a motorized damper in there, and then wherever the thermostat is, you can adjust the amount of outside air it brings in to allow for changes in weather and temperature and so on.
Yes.
It's simply a little gate that allows more or less air in or none, and you push a button and it works.
All right, so moving on to 2020-29. A resolution authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to enter into contract for the 2020 storm sewer improvement project and declaring it an emergency. And this is for Insight Pipe Contracting LLC. They have done work for us in the past on these sewers. Tiffany, I'm just going to let you explain it real quick and stop talking.
So this is a quick version of this. So again, the reason that we are asking for waiving of the reading in the storm sewer, we've actually talked about this in one of the previous meetings. In the event that Insight was the winning bid, which has been recommended, say this in English now. We have Mike Flickinger has recommended that we do in fact use Insight. That's why it's in the information that you guys are reading. They were the best bid. So this is the company that is currently going to be starting in the village next week. Actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, are they not in here this week?
It's
What was your letter?
For emergency, it's for continuity of service, is what I'm getting.
I threw out the letter.
Yeah,
but
I think it is this week, but
Okay.
I'd have to go find the letter.
Yeah, Insight is actually in the village this week. They are starting on the sanitary sewer. They are going to then move directly from, if we pass this an emergency and get it done, they are going to go directly from the sanitary sewer to the storm sewer project and knock it all out pretty darn quick. So the goal is to get both of those done, obviously, this year. We've known that this is going to be a possibility of needing to do this in order to get them to do the project back to back. And it did happen to work out that way. Again, we just didn't know if it was going to or not. So this is for the storm sewers. Basically, Jordan Road, this has nothing to do with Yasmin Market. This is the Jordan Road, Park Lane, Wildwood, Woodley area where we have a significant amount of issues, collapsed pipes. There's concrete in some, bricks in others. We know that we have an issue with storm sewer lines. This is fixing all of the recommendations that we found in the last CCTV. So we want to get moving on this and we want to get it done this year. And that's why you have an emergency sitting in the meetings. Simple as that.
Okay, that being said, I move to waive readings on, now I've got it off my screen, on this 2020-29.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anyone want to talk about it?
This is a good idea, keeping our continuity of service, keep them here while they're already here.
Exactly.
You guys managed to find an emergency that I'm actually fully on board with.
This is.
Well, I would say a lot of people in the village believe that the sewers have been an issue and doing it. I'm sure there's some that, I'll never speak for everybody, but I think this is something a lot of the residents will get behind.
That is something that I've heard from residents as well.
So yes, getting 2 of these huge projects done in 1 year is awesome. So, okay, let's start with Councilman McNamara,
Aye.
Councilman Berger,
Aye.
Council President Schrimpf,
Aye.
Councilman Curl,
Aye.
Councilman Benindetti,
Aye.
and Councilman Wolf.
Aye.
All right, we have
Okay, having waived the 3 readings, I now move to pass this as an emergency.
Second.
All right, Councilman Benindetti,
Aye.
Councilman Wolf,
Aye.
Council President Schrimpf,
Aye.
Councilman Curl,
Aye.
Councilman Berger,
Aye.
and Councilman McNamara.
Aye.
All right.
All right, our last, I believe, that we have on there was revisiting ordinance 09-2020. That is the sidewalk repair that we were on our third reading with. So legislative committee met earlier this evening. We did look at some changes that need to be made with that. And this is actually not our last thing for tonight, so if someone's saying, what? I was wrong. We are gonna still keep that on the table until those changes can be made. In legislation, we just decided, this is not legislation that needs to be pushed out in a hurry, so there's no need to rush it. We can make sure all the I's and T's and whatnot. Okay. So now we have the second reading of ordinance number 11-2020. An ordinance approving amended plan residential district zoning text for MI Homes of Central Ohio LLC. Okay, I finally know what this one is. This is the one that says we won't have to do variance meetings on corner lot fences anymore. It just amends the MI's things to say, here we go. A corner lot is defined as a lot with 2 front yards. Each yard directly abuts a public street. In the case of the corner lot, a fence is allowed to encroach up to 13 feet over the building line. We have already granted at least one of these variances, perhaps more before I was on council. We seem to be on, we don't need to keep making people seek variances if we're just going to tell them yes. And I believe this just needs to be a second reading and nothing else. Okay, it has been read, and that's all I have on my list.
No, you don't.
Hey, Mark, we were going to amend the agenda and do a first reading on the fee schedule updates that we discussed in legislative committee.
Okay, but I don't have a thing of that yet.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
maybe
It's
the
in, you
information-
gotta go get it from.
For
I
the
did.
meeting started.
I did email it after the meeting. You should have it in your box.
Okay, there we go. Commercial projects draft fee schedule. Is that it?
Yeah,
That is it, sir.
There we go. We didn't have a lot of time after the meeting and it was raining out. And I wanted to check to see how my little downspouts were letting out into the street. So that is where some of
And
So you have
And
to
there's-
move to amend the agenda.
Okay, I'm going to move to amend the agenda to include resolution 2020-30. I believe it would be numbered, correct?
Second.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Okay,
Okay, all right. So, and this is still just a first reading, correct?
yes.
Yeah.
All right, so resolution 2020-30, a resolution to amend and revise the Minerva Park fee schedule and declare an emergency.
No, not tonight.
Yes, that's how the legislation reads.
That is how it currently reads.
It's not to declare emergency for tonight. You're going to have a couple readings and then you can make that decision on the next reading.
Awesome. I was just reading the title because that's what the title currently is.
And there should be one, or you have the wrong agenda in front of you, I hope.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it was, yeah, it wasn't there. Let's see. I did see it in a,
Yes. Ordinance 12-2020 supplemental appropriation. It's on my copy. Can't see me, but
Oh, yeah, first, yeah, it is on there. Sorry. I didn't have at that point, I was scrolling 50 pages down to actually see the stuff.
yeah, it wasn't in that. Yeah, you're right, because
Yeah.
it wasn't in there yet.
That in there, and I usually print out a paper copy of the agenda, and that's why I normally do it, and I didn't do it tonight.
And then this one, just so you guys, I'll say this for the record. This is the top line is for, we were short just a little bit of money for the Paycor is the first line. The stormwater maintenance fund is actually the $217,000 to do the storm sewer project. So it's just moving the water from one line to the capital outlay. It's already in the stormwater, but I think we just got to move it around is my understanding there. CARES Act grant, that is the money that we are currently spending for the door that we put on my office because we use my office for Mayor's Court. So it actually has a plexiglass, all that. She can stand behind the door and it actually works now. So that CARES Act money was for the installation of a door and a new door for Mayor's Court. And also it is for the cleaning. That is why that amount is so high. All of the cleaning through the rest of the year. And then the second capital outlay is in the, right now, again, the contract is lower. I know on the thing it said 15.5, but I don't think she saw that. But anyways, 16,000 there. And that is for the Atlas Butler. That second capital outlay. So that's what those are. That's a breakdown of every single thing that those 4 things are for. And that's it.
Okay.
And obviously the reason that we want to waive the readings is because we waived the reading for the storm. The only one that really matters is the storm water maintenance fund is getting that one moved over. That one's the only real emergency. So that's why we're asking for it.
So 2020-30 here, amending the fee schedule. Do we need to waive? Do we need to emergency, or can I just say we're reading it and move on?
That one was just the first reading.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And what this does is going to change. We have not had a lot of commercial or non-residential development in the village for a long time. We are going to get a school built pretty soon here. And essentially we want to maybe up how much we charge them for putting water lines in when they first put them in. We want to.
Can I say something to make it sound a little more fair?
Sure.
We're not upping them. We actually don't have anything that covers that type of lines because we don't do commercial. We actually don't have fees for commercial property. We don't have fees for those types of lines for commercial properties. We have very
That big of a
small.
line, yeah.
So I don't want somebody to watch this and think that we're like just changing our fees because we're not actually doing much. We don't have the types of lines that they're requesting. We don't have a fee for those. So we have to.
Aren't schools classified as institutional buildings as opposed to commercial?
I don't know if we changed it to commercial or yes. I don't know if we changed that to commercial and institutional. And Eric, we can check that too.
We can define it any way we like.
Yes.
And
So
that's how they'll be charged. They're not going to get charged residential fees.
yes. So that was the big difference.
So we're increasing from 0 to something. So I was still technically correct.
You
which is
are correct.
correct to be.
I will give you that you are 1000% correct. Actually 100%. I already learned them all. I'll say that to you. 100% correct. But I wanted to clarify that we're not trying.
That we're not just saying, hey, let's up our prices because they're moving in. We're saying, hey, maybe we should have prices.
Yes.
Well, Columbus is going to want a chunk of change to put that line in, so.
Columbus is going to take their fee, and we're looking to match them with about a 50 to 75% of what Columbus gets.
Similar to what we did in the subdivision.
Yeah. So that's some more details into this. We're looking to say like, hey, you gave Columbus $10, we want $5 or $7.50. Although it's probably going to be, you gave Columbus $100,000 and
We'll take 750, 7,500.
yeah.
Well, we're taking our cut for maintenance. We have to
Yeah,
maintain the
because
lines.
we're going to have line upstream, up water of this. And if something goes wrong going into their pipes, we're on the hook to fix it. That's why you collect this money from these fees. It's just going to go into, the sewer fund. And if there's a problem with the schools thing that is on our thing, we're going to be the ones who have to fix it. So it's
totally
it's
understandable.
not at all unreasonable to collect these fees from them.
Totally understandable. We can't run a civilization if we don't have the means to run it. And in this era, that is finances.
Okay, now am I done with legislation there, Mayor Hughes?
No, we haven't passed.
No, we didn't do the last one. The last one she just talked about with the appropriations. The last one is the appropriations that
Ordinance
wasn't on the original agenda, but then was resubmitted. Do you see a copy of that?
I am.
Is it 2020, 27?
Let me pull up I have too many things open. I'm not seeing 2020, 27. I'm seeing 2020, 30, Minerva Park fee schedule. Is that it? No.
It's an appropriations.
Does someone who has it up, can they read it, or do I have to be the one who reads it?
It's ordinance 12-2020 supplemental appropriations.
Ordinance 12-2020.
We are looking
Came out
to,
tonight, I think, is why you don't have it.
yeah, it should have been on the last agenda that you got, but the actual ordinance was just sent out about 3:30.
It's ordinance 12-2020.
Okay, and we need to get that passed tonight is what I'm hearing.
That one, we're just waiving the readings, doesn't need to be passed as an emergency because it.
Awesome. Well, I will move after Mayor Hughes already explained what's in it, that we waive the readings.
Second.
Okay. All right, Councilman Benedetti,
Aye.
Councilman Berger,
Aye.
Councilman Curl,
Aye.
Councilman McNamara,
Aye.
Council President Shrimp,
Aye.
and Councilman Wolf.
Aye.
Perfect.
Now, see, Mark, the thing is that it's an appropriation doesn't have a 30-day waiting period. So
Yeah.
there's nothing.
I have the chain that talks about it, and then the email that says it's coming in a moment, but I must have accidentally deleted it or something.
Yeah, it was sent at 3:35, exactly.
Yeah, I have the
Yes.
3:39. There was a delay in making sure it's correct. It's coming out soon. That's the last one I have. Anyway, we have agreed to waive readings on it. It has been explained to us to my satisfaction. I move that we pass it.
Second.
Councilman Curl,
Aye.
Councilman Wolf,
Aye.
Council President Shrimp,
Aye.
Councilman McNamara,
Aye.
Councilman Berger,
Aye.
Councilman Benedetti,
Aye.
and we are finally done. All right, let's go to new business. Anybody have any new business? All right, then I'll give you mine. There's a roof leak in the EMS department that was noted just a couple minutes ago. So I will call Able Roofing tomorrow morning because I believe that's who did it the last time, and see if we can get somebody out here to get that taken care of as soon as possible.
Did you say where it was at? Is it
yeah,
in the
it's-
living quarters area or?
No, it's in the bay, right
It's in
at the EMS.
So it's above the truck, not
Yep.
passing anything on.
And then I had one more thing. Let's see. I don't know. There's a roof leak. That's all I can.
Send an email.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think about. I'm sure there was lots of other things, but Diane, I will be here most of tomorrow. So if you've got a few minutes, maybe you can send me a message tomorrow because I know we wanted to talk about the lake over here.
Yep.
So if you get a second tomorrow, let me know.
What time you guys want to talk about the lake? I'd love to be a part of that.
Well, this has to do with a particular, has to do with one of the neighbors who
Okay.
had a specific request.
Okay.
So nothing exciting on that one.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that was my only, I don't know. I really did have something else, but now I can't remember.
Well, I
Oh, I
do,
do have something.
oh,
It's easy. We got the report back from the audit and it looks great. I know we've talked about it a little bit, but we did actually get the official report back today. And I already sent it to Kim and Leah for them to look over it. As soon as they look over it, if it's something you guys want a copy of, I can forward it to you guys as well. Because
I got a copy in an email
think-
today.
yeah, I think we got an email, audit
They sent it to
at
all the council.
ohioauditor.gov, yeah.
Yeah.
you guys all get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I send it?
It came from the auditor, sent it to all the
They
council.
sent it to us
Yeah.
too.
Well, fantastic. Okay, well, you guys
That's
already
what
have
you
it.
gotta do.
And then the last thing I have, and you guys already know this, but I'm going to say it for the record. I told you I had something else. Is your mosquitoes? Might as well put it on here. And we have now had a West Nile virus positive test result from the mosquito caught in one of the traps on Sunday nights. So that is in the Minerva Park zone. They want to spray on August 26th, beginning at 8:45 p.m., weather permitting. I have the email ready to reply back to her. Clearly, if it's my choice, the answer is obviously yes. I do not, we have had enough complaints. I think now's the time. This couldn't have come at a better time, I guess. So it's horrible that we had this, but I think it's great to get it moving on. So I know some people are still not told that we're doing it, but I'm all for it. Is there anybody that has a huge problem with it? Because I'm sending the email confirming it. We will put
I
it
do
on.
not have an issue.
Okay, we're going to put it on the website first thing tomorrow morning. As soon as Becky gets here, I will let her know because obviously she doesn't know yet because we just got this after 5, actually at 4:40. So and we will get it put on the website immediately, and I will post it on the village and share it to the MPCA page and all of our outlets that we have. I will make sure that I get it on there tonight or first thing in the morning. So that's that. I don't have anything else. Anybody else with new business? All right, old business.
I'd like to hear what are the thoughts now that the lake is going down again? What's the strategy or what's the plan?
I don't have one. I'm going to be honest with you. Actually, I say that. I would like to, I'm not sure what it looks like now.
Oh, that's what I was about to say. Who's?
I'll look when I go out and I'll let you guys know, but I don't know if I can see it.
Well, I'm looking at it right now. Would you like a report? The lake's gone down. There's about 1 billion trees sticking out, dead ones.
Well, we were just saying, since it just rained, I don't think it rained hard enough to make an impact on a lake, but I don't know that for sure.
We're about to find out.
Yeah,
but I think
so-
that now, within the last week or last few days, really, it's gotten down to the point where you start to get back to all that stuff.
Here's one thing.
There it is, if you can see it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the thing is you can't, it's the weather. It's kind of like we for this, if you guys want to do something when the lake's down, you got to be like farmers here, make hay while the sun shines.
Sorry, that's
Diane, you want to come out with me tomorrow and start dragging them out?
Well,
I mean, what are you trying to say?
Given 1 day's notice, I could probably get. The thing is I think I wish I was walking around and the North Lake is really getting compacted anywhere that there's not water right now. You can pretty much walk on it pretty well. So we're at this point again. It just seems like, we've got some money in that, whatever. I would like to see us get some help that we pay for and get in there and cut that wood up and then maybe use you got junk or landscape services with a couple of trucks that have human help that can wheelbarrow or move this stuff up, throw it into trucks and haul it off. But not just onesie twosie, not just a couple people, not like we did with where we did a couple dumpsters full. I mean, like make hay while the sun. In other words, we can't wait around till with 2 people taking 2 weeks because it's gonna rain again. Eventually, it's gonna cover back up again. So we've got an opportunity. I think we need to get extra manpower on it. Let the neighbors know so that get permission to tell them that we're going to stack it up in their backyard, essentially, and then have the workers come and then pick it up and take it away.
For
example,
let me put in 1 minute. I try to squeeze it into 1 minute. I spoke with a number of people in the city of Hilliard today in regard to this very subject, where they've rehabbed 3 lakes and established new parks and done lots of things. But when they got involved in this dredging thing, which certainly there weren't trees involved like there are with us, but all the rest of it was the same. They tried all kinds of the mechanical sediment removal They had so many problems, expenses, and failures. They finally gave up and said the solution to their problem turned out to be Sediment Solutions Inc., which is where I got their name in the first place. But they don't pump trees. You can't put them in a pump. So this idea that we get in soon and get some of these trees out is the greatest thing I've ever heard. Hope we can do it.
I like Diane's idea. I don't have any issues with that whatsoever. If we got somebody out there and paid them for a couple days worth of work, we're not talking a couple hours here or a couple volunteers for 2
We're not talking about a couple hours. We're talking about, yes, day. We're talking about days and.
Do
we're
it,
talking
do
about
it, let's do it.
Manpower.
Well,
Yes.
there-
And
we-
this is not, we don't need people who, we don't need, Russell Tree's expertise here. We just need some guys with people with chainsaws and people that are gonna haul and lift and move and toss and.
Right. Again, yeah. People that
Well-
are going to work for days, not a couple hours.
Right.
I'll make
Let's do it.
I'll make another 1 minute comment, and that is Russell Tree is an expert at these types of trees we have that are 80 to 100 feet high, and you have to go up in practically
not
airplanes to get to the top of them. But these dead trees are a whole different matter. We shouldn't have to pay these giant tree company type fees to cut up wood and haul it out of there. Labor crews or volunteers can do it.
I would talk to, that Eric Steele guy that, I don't know if any, he did our leaves one year. I mean,
Just
he's
don't know if
done
he has
three.
the manpower.
What's
That's-
that?
Do you know if he has manpower? Yeah, he did a tree for me not too long ago and charged me $75. And he came out in one day. So yeah, he was amazing. But
I
don't
need somebody like that for next to my daughter's house.
Yeah, he
But
was
that had nothing to do with the, but it's a tree issue. It's a big one. And
Okay.
the lady died. Do we have any process to condemn trees when they're like old and rotten? They're definitely going to take something out, and then nobody's in charge of it.
Only if it falls into public property or the right of way, Joe, then it can be declared a hazard tree. Otherwise, it's a civil matter between homeowners.
Well, this particular homeowner died. I don't think it's in probate. I don't know. There's no real estate agent involved. It might be being repossessed for all I know, but it's a tree that if it comes over going to the east, it'll take Lynn Eisentraut's garage out. But so I'm just trying to get that removed. But we have a process. I'll deal with it.
So what are the next steps that need to happen to get some, just like work crews out here to start moving some junk out of the bottom of the lake? What
Well,
needs to
there's-
happen? Who needs to be called
Well,
that I can help with?
first of all, we need to call up, we need to call some up and they may have to come out and help give us a quote, but we need to call people up that can, to have people that can lift, haul and these the cut up logs, reasonable sizes. And then have trucks to haul them away. There's that group and that we need to,
Well, I've also talked about cutting it up and stacking it up. I mean, all that wood that we took out and stacked
Gone.
up disappeared.
well, yeah, okay, but the thing is, we do have, the other thing we have to do at the same time is we need to notify, we can do this with the flyers, if we need to, or we can make phone calls, although I don't have an accurate phone list of people living around the lake, and call them and notify them that we may be stacking wood in the back of their property, and we would be looking for access where someone can park on the street. One of the guys with the trucks can park on the streets and then go back and get the wood and haul it away. Now,
I don't think.
the thing is you could just, I've looked at the especially I was concentrating on North Lake, frankly, and there are areas that are the purview of Minerva Park. And it's just that it would be a little bit farther walk for some of because there is enough land there to stack up wood. It's just, I don't know if that is the end place to want to have a big stack of wood.
Diane, this is what people that live on the lake here have been doing for decades. There's I know Tony's seen them. I have, and that is if you walk around the lake, there's all these piles of wood people have already cut and dumped on the shore. Been there so long, it's all rotten.
Yeah, but okay, that's fine. So, you know, that's not my preferred way, but you know, it could be that this is done in two parts where we get the labor to cut it and move it up off a shore, stack it up, and maybe it's a second group that has the trucks that come get it, toss it in and haul it away. I think we just have to.
That's a pragmatic way to do it.
In order to take it away, we need to be able to get back into people's backyards and back property. And that's where we would need to notify them.
I don't know, when were you there looking at it? This, you know, the one thing that hasn't ever been brought or talked about much is putting water out of the North Lake and making it very dry. This is,
we've talked about that.
North Lake gets to a certain point where it doesn't drain anymore because the pipe under the road is above the level of the lake. You know, so this is the thing that I've noticed is that we could pump the water out of the North Lake and make it so you don't have to get into people's backyards. And it's
getting into the backyards isn't a problem, but I thought we had discussed this, but I mean, there would be a way, not too difficult, to block that pipe and then pump the water out, because some's going to come back in if there's a rainfall, and we could, keep a pump on site to keep it dry to do whatever work we need.
Right. I think the key is to just start looking for some, I don't even know some contractors to do this type of work.
Yeah, do we have a list of contractors you've used in the past? I'd be happy to make some calls tomorrow if we have them.
Well, I don't know that we have a list. I just go with I just start fishing around myself.
There's companies
ones over the years.
There's companies that provide what's called, quote, labor crews, end quote, which is kind of what we're looking at. They even have their own union. You can call the union and get crews, prices and things like that.
Yeah, no.
We need some equipment.
I guess, I just don't want to participate in going down this path if somebody's gonna pull the plug on this, or it can't happen quick enough, because we have to work to get this done before it rains heavily.
Well, I think we should make every effort we can to try and do it. If the stuff ends up stacked on the shore, I think everyone knows what the shore looks like. Is someone going to complain about the appearance? That would be absurd. But that's a long range. That's an issue we got to deal with, is this massive amount of overgrowth of brush and unwanted, agricultural material that makes the lake practically impenetrable.
Well, once again, some progress is better than no progress.
That's
well, if
not
we can get trees out of there.
I get you. That's not acceptable for me, though. I would not consider that a success. If I only got 2 logs thrown out of there because whatever, that would not. I need better odds than that to put my energy behind something.
I absolutely agree.
Well, I agree too, but it shouldn't be all or nothing. Whatever trees we can get out of there by any method that where we aren't getting gouged for it or stressed, beyond what it should be. If you take 2 trees out, that's 2 less. It's there, whether there's 100 there or not, so to speak.
One of the things, this is definitely not what Diane's asking for, but we do have possibly 1 more dumpster for free. I could call local waste and find out. I mean, this is not what she's asking for, but again, I'm not sure how. I have no problem calling around. I mean, honestly, getting somebody out there, calling a couple laborers. I mean, honestly, it's just Googling.
Yeah, it's not a couple. I mean, to get this done in a hurry.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, I don't mind starting, and then asking for help once I figure out if it could be that, because we're going to get into the busy time again. And so for landscapers and laborers and that, so if we're not already past it. So Let me find out the availability. Let me start and find out the availability, and then I'll keep you all posted and see if this is even feasible or if we're just too far behind the.
Well, I'll make a point regarding that specific, and that is that in the wintertime, it's sometimes conditions are even more favorable to cut down trees and get them out of there because the ground's frozen, as long as the lake's dry. So this goes back
Exactly
to
right, Joe. That's why, you know, when I hear people talking about we're running out of opportunities, we'll have all types of opportunities to get this stuff out. And
Well, you're not, eventually the residents are going to raise up and be so pissed off that this lake keeps going up and down and up and down, and that we're not setting it back where it belongs so they can enjoy it as it is.
you know what, Diane,
Tiffany's not going to be able to handle that pressure after a while. It's going to be too much. Now, this is my opinion on this, but I just don't see it.
How much grief have you gotten because of this?
Honestly, right now I do have probably 2 that are annoyed. Well, I'll say that fairly. 2 that are annoyed. Joe doesn't count, so Joe might be on that list. So it's more or less. Well, no, I mean, in all fairness, I don't know if you're annoyed with the up and down or not, but I would say we definitely have 2 that are annoyed. The only other thing that I would say is, no, right now people are just asking the questions. Why, what?
Why?
Well,
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? It's starting to be, it's the pot's being stirred now. I'm not saying it's tomorrow, but people are starting to ask why and why and why. And if
the answer to that question, Diane, is simple. We're trying to clean the lake up.
But do it. Here's an opportunity. Are we gonna take this opportunity right now? We have an opportunity. Or are we just gonna let this one go because we're not ready either? And what about getting somebody out to look at it and get a quote on this dry haul stuff? Tiffany, I thought you were just waiting for the lake to go down again so you could have this guy come out and give a quote. Well,
2 days.
Huh?
Well, it's been down for 2 days, and from the looks of it, it's right back up.
That's
the sediment solution quote has nothing to do with whether there's water in the lake.
It looks like it. I just walked out there. Let me walk back out there.
I'm sure it is. That's the thing.
That's all it takes. That's the problem.
You're right.
Come down here, wave, Tiffany. I'll see you.
No, I'm just looking back out the front when I walked out there. Somebody also texted me that it's back up, but I don't know.
Well, my point was very specific, and that is that I agree with both of the last 2 comments, but I'm just trying to make the point that we aren't paralyzed because winter comes along. We can progress it, provided we prepare. As in, we can get to these trees. When the ground freezes, it's simpler.
Okay. Well, let's wait for the trees. Let's wait for the ground to freeze then.
Well, I wasn't saying that.
I had my 2 cents. I'm done.
I was saying if we start now, we don't have to finish it all in 5 minutes.
How to go about doing this project, but you've got all kinds of opinions about how to do it. I'm pretty.
Yeah, I'm ready to do something about it, but
Well, here's my suggestion. We get a hold of some chainsaws somehow, whether we hire operators or not, and we go start cutting some of these trees and stack it, just like you said.
Why don't you just get a chainsaw and start on it tomorrow, Joe?
It's too late now.
Diane, I've been doing that for 3 years already.
So what are you guys?
It doesn't show.
So Diane and
it works. Come look at my yard. It was full of trees when I moved in here.
Okay. It's 8:50. It's 8:56, and we haven't got anywhere. Okay.
So no, I mean, I think it's a great idea to call a couple different people. I think that there might be an opportunity that we can get another dumpster. I think that there's an opportunity that you could do another lake cleanup. I don't think that that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a bigger solution. I don't know that you couldn't do both. Again, these are just going in circles because, like Diane said, it's almost 9 o'clock, and to go in circles again any longer is not productive. So if anybody wants to make a couple phone calls and find a couple different, again, laborers, not labor unions, but just a couple people that, can come out here for, again, a full day's worth of work, a couple days, get an estimate for, filling up a couple dumpsters, if we needed to pay for the dumpsters, I wouldn't have a problem doing that. If it's something that they have dump trucks themselves, great. I know that, Brian works on it. He's been working on it 2 different days this week. Not this
I'll
week.
make some calls tomorrow too. I'll look up general laborers, general contracting or something.
So, I mean, he has filled up the little trailer last Friday and today. So again, I mean, he's making dents in it, but it's dense. I mean, there's, like she's saying, a couple hours is not cutting it. I mean, it's a big project. It's a huge project. Unless you got a bunch of people out there with a bunch of dumpsters, you're picking at it. That's all you're doing. So I'm not opposed to picking at it if that's what people want to do.
Real
Well,
quick, on a
I'll make
totally
some calls tomorrow to
unrelated-
people.
Totally unrelated note. Do we have a meeting to interview the engineering firms this week that I somehow missed?
Yes, you should have
Tomorrow.
got invites. Did anybody get the invites? Did we both get the invites, or did no one get the invites?
I am.
I got no invite.
I'm sending them right
I
now.
have no invite, and I might have a scheduling conflict depending on when it is.
6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. There's 2 different ones. There's going to be 2 different. Oh wait, I can't send it because I'm on Zoom. I'll do it as soon as we sign off of here. The one is at 6, one is at 7. We will log in for the first one, and then we will log in for the second one. They will both be recorded. Whether or not I can get them both live streamed, I'm not sure, and I don't know if we will live stream them. That's going to be up to everybody. But we will definitely have them recorded to be able to be published on the Facebook.
Speaking of it being able, when you're in touch with Able Roof, how does that fit in if they come and say we need more than just like a minor roof repair in terms of the remodel? That's something to consider. Whether, if a new roof has to be put on it,
When they come
it
out.
doesn't have to be replaced again with the remodel.
Honestly, we're hopeful that it's a patch, so I don't even want to go down that road.
All right.
I will just say in advance then, once the invite's sent out, I will try my best to be at the meeting tomorrow night for those interviews. I will say my first one-on-one parent and student introductory meeting starts at 10 a.m. And my last one's at 8 p.m. Now I'm looking, in the evening, my last one ends at 6, and then my next one starts at 8, but I don't know that I'm going to make it. That just would be 6 straight hours after 3 straight hours in the morning of Zoom meetings. So if I'm not there, that's why.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
So the move for expulsion starts when?
All right, move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, everybody have a good day.
Good one, everyone.